Now, before the game, I was telling myself, this is a must-win game for Milan for a lot of different reasons. Number one, you're coming up against a team in the bottom half. Number two, you're coming up against a team that's conceded the most goals in the Serie A this season. And on top of everything, you've just seen Lazio draw to Napoli. It's an opportunity to push for top four. And I was sat telling myself, Milan might win by 3-4 goals. The scoreline is Milan 1, Verona 0. Now, what do I make of the game? I feel like before I dive into the goal, there's a few players I have to sing their praise before I forget. Number one, Leao. That was a solid performance. That was the performance of a modern day centre half. Now, what is the modern day centre half? The modern day centre half has to be aggressive, tenacious, win their duels. He done that. A modern day centre half has to be physical, especially when you bear in mind Leao, he plays on the same side as Theo Hernandez. Now, Theo Hernandez plays very advanced. He likes to push forward. Leao has to occupy the space that Theo Hernandez leaves in behind. Can he defend the channels? Yes. I watched that performance today and I was like, defensively, he was solid. On the ball, his ball progression, like at times he was progressing play. He was getting the ball into those dangerous areas, and I was just sat saying, this is the modern day centre half. This is a centre half that Sergio Conceição must love, and this is a centre half that, in my opinion, should be starting ahead of Tomori. For me, based on current form, based on the performances that I've seen, he looks like Milan's best centre half. Defensively, he's solid. Technically, he's solid. Physically, he has the running power. He wins his duels in the air. And on top of everything, he has all the attributes of the modern day centre half. I feel like his performance was lovely. The thing that stood out for me the most in this Milan performance is that little trio down the left-hand side. Leao, Theo Hernandez, Reinders. All three of them, I feel like, had better performances. All three of them, I feel like, had the performances that they needed to boost their confidence going into a must-win game versus Feyenoord. Reinders, I saw today he had more license to join into the attack, to play in the final third, and he helped Milan so much because I feel like as of late, Reinders has been playing a little bit deeper because Joao Felix occupies a zone that Reinders likes to drift into. But today, especially because of the fact that Milan had 75% of the ball, it meant they can afford to push more and more bodies forward. What Reinders gives this Milan team in the final third, it's irreplaceable. And as much as Joao Felix might be occupying that zone and doing well, what Reinders brings to that team is extra technical security in essential areas. So rather than just having Joao Felix having the responsibility of being the connector, of being the orchestrator, and having that technical ability, why not add Reinders into the mix? Because trust me, the opposition, they don't like to worry about any opposition player, but they would very much rather worry about one, a Joao Felix, than two, Joao Felix and Reinders. But I feel like today, him having license to bomb forwards, to get involved, it really helped Milan. And Theo Hernandez, I felt like there was a bit more maturity in this performance today. Now, of course, you look at the opposition, but look, I feel like today there was a bit more maturity. He wasn't as erratic. He was making the right decisions. Off the ball, he was tracking back. He was helping his team. But when we look at the goal, there was literally a period in that second half where I was like, Milan, for all of this possession, they might drop points. And if they do, I don't even know what to say to you guys. I was literally just sat watching that game. I was like, I don't even know what to say on this video if they drop points because they've dominated the ball. But once again, they get the ball in the final third. And it's like a lack of creativity sometimes. And it's not because they don't have creative players. No, it's just this team in the final third can't play as one. And I feel like that's what holds back a lot of these Milan players. The fact that they're not all on the same wavelength. And you can put out players individually that are penetrative, players individually that are creative. But at the end of the day, it's a team game. You need to work hand in hand. And so many times, like, you'd see they'd get the ball into dangerous areas, but it's the wrong run being made. It's the wrong decision being made. It's the wrong pass being made. Sometimes players going for the spectacular when sometimes just lay it on to your teammate. And that's what makes the goal so special. Now, Alex Jimenez, when he came on for Kyle Walker, I was like, he's going to bring a bit of dynamism in the final third. He is very, very, very direct. But the thing I loved about this goal, and it's something that I just love in football as a whole, I call it, well, it's referred to as pass and goal. Now you can see he has the ball down the right hand side. Now he receives it. Look at Rafa Leao with his hands up, asking for the ball, telling him, yo, I'm open. I'm open. Give me the ball. He passes it inwards. But the thing that I love about players is when they make the pass, they don't just make the pass and then just stand still and be like, my job is done. No, you make the pass, but then you follow it up. Makes the pass into Rafa Leao. Rafa Leao maneuvers himself away from a Verona midfielder. But look at Jimenez. He's moving. He made the pass, but he moved to create an option for Leao. Leao gives it back to him. Now, this is the beautiful thing about it. It was literally just pass and go between the two. He gives it to Leao. Leao gives it back to him. Guess who's sprinting? In the space, in behind. They always tell you, attack the space. Go where the space is. This is what I love, because sometimes Rafa Leao, he'd make the pass and then he just stands still. No, today, you could see he came on and he was like, cool. I got a point to prove. I need to put on a statement performance. Gets it from Jimenez. Passes it back to Jimenez. Attacks the space. Jimenez, it was a lovely pass. You know what it was? Milan came up against a Verona team that was happy to sit back. They were happy to park the bus. And now the question was, can you unlock this defense? Can you unlock this low block? Do you know what unlocked that low block? That Jimenez pass. Because even when he done it, I was like, you know what? I was like, well done. Because even I didn't think of it. The fact that he scooped it over 3 defenders, found Rafa Leao in an area where Rafa Leao has only got one decision to do. He's only got one option, and it's square it to your new striker. Rafa Leao squares it to Jimenez. Probably the easiest goal that he'll score this season. But for me, this goal all came from 2 players, similar to how I said in the beginning. The reason why Milan was struggling in the final third is because these players didn't play as one. They weren't on the same wavelength. They didn't have the same approach to the game. But imagine, on one occasion, Alex Jimenez and Rafa Leao, they were both on the same page. They both had the same intention and the same mission in mind, which is, we are going to play around this defense and we are constantly going to pass and move, pass and move, pass and move, constantly give one another passing angles, and let's see where it takes us. And it got Milan a goal with just 5 passes. This is what happens when you've got players in sync, when you've got players that share chemistry, players that understand one another's game. That goal for me, as much as it might look simple, that goal all came from the fact that every single time they made the pass, they followed it up. And then the icing on the cake, you square it to your number 9 to head the ball from 2 yards out. That is how you unlock a low block. I've said this so many times regarding so many of the teams that I cover. When you come up against a low block, the one thing you shouldn't do is take long on the ball. The longer you take on the ball, the more you allow the opposition players to get back in their defensive shape. What you need to do is move the ball quickly. Move the ball quickly. Rafa Leao and Jimenez, they moved the ball quickly. They moved the ball into the space that was open. And that's how they carved this Verona team. So the game ended Milan 1, Verona 1. I feel like Jimenez, at the moment, you could see he's not too involved, especially in the final third. He created a chance today for Musa, but you could see he isn't really getting the touches. He isn't really getting a surplus of opportunities. And I feel like as a striker, that drains your confidence. But you know what's really helping? The fact that when he does get an opportunity, he's putting it into the back of the net. And at the moment, he's coming across like one of the most clinical of players. But for a player that's not as involved, in order to keep his spirits up, in order just to keep that confidence, that fire in his belly, when he gets an opportunity, he's scoring. And I feel like Milan now, was it the best of performances going into a final game? No, of course. If they had won by 3-4 goals, I feel like that would have put them in a better position. But it was dominant. It was assertive. They weren't really tested defensively. And I feel like they saw, by playing hand in hand, by working with one another, by going for the safer option sometimes, you can win a game of football. Because on another day, I wouldn't be surprised if Rafa Leao gets onto that scoops ball and tries to volley it in himself. But sometimes, do the safer option. Do the easier option. Because as long as everybody sticks to the basics, you will score some of the loveliest goals and you will carve some of the most low block teams in the world. Now, if you're new, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to let me know what you think in the comments. And I'll catch you guys on another one.